This video is me unboxing my new Lincoln MIG 210 welder, figuring out how to use it, and doing a project with it. So right off the bat, opening up the box, all of the corded accessories are right on top. So something really cool about this machine is right out of the box you can do MIG, flux core, or stick welding. Then with just a few added accessories, you could also do TIG welding. Now I'm not experienced, so I'm going to be sticking with MIG, but it is cool having a machine being so versatile. Another cool feature of the machine is you can either run it off a 220 or 110. So if your shop's not wired for 220, no big deal. After going through all of the accessories on the top, I dug a little deeper and got to the good stuff. Doesn't really have a new tool smell. It smells like a box. Now, I wasn't sure how heavy this welder was going to be, and it's not light, but it's still light enough for me to be able to carry around by myself, so I don't think the weight is a problem. This is a great day. Now, how to actually use it. Let's learn how to weld. The operator's manual is inside the welder, and so is a chart that tells you what to set your wire feed and voltage at. That smells a little bit more like new tool. So I started off by reading the quick startup and also the operator's manual. It did have some good information in it, but since I'm brand new to welding, I needed a little bit more information to feel confident with getting started. So I turned to YouTube. I started off by watching a playlist put on by a channel called Welding Tips and Tricks, and then I went over to Lincoln Electric's channel and found a really great video there as well. So I'll go ahead and link those videos that I watched in the description in case they're helpful to you. After getting a basic understanding of what I would be doing down, I went ahead and started setting up the machine. Now, this machine, it was crazy how simple it was to set up. I purchased my own argon gas bottle from a local supplier and then just followed the instructions both in the video and the quick setup to set it all up. And even though the machine came with 2 spools of wire, I went ahead and purchased a larger one just because I wanted to do a lot of practicing. And then here is turning on the machine for the very first time. I was really pleased with how quiet it is, and I was really impressed with how intuitive the walkthrough setup guide was. You turn the knob and you find what you're using, and then you hit select and move on to the next step. Now, of course, I've never used another machine, so I'm not sure how much of a difference it is, but for me, not knowing anything about welding equipment, I found the setup to be very simple. Okay, and then I moved on to actually start practicing. Of course, I had to put on all of my safety gear, which actually came from the Jesse Combs product line. Yeah, I will definitely work on my hood flip. But a buddy gave me some scrap material, and I literally just started laying down bead after bead after bead after bead. And you can see just how sketchy my very first weld is. But I guess that's to be expected. Well, that sucked. I didn't get discouraged, but I did practice more and more and more. I spent the entire day just laying down beads, but then I was confident enough to actually take on a project. So for my first welding project, I want to make a rack for the back of my truck that I can haul plywood flat and also elevate it off the bed. Now my truck is actually wide enough that I can haul a full sheet of plywood in between the rear fender wells. However, I would much rather it be elevated so that if I have gunk in the back of my truck, I don't have to worry about the veneer of the plywood getting scratched. So let's get it done. My idea was to make some brackets that will hang on the edge of my bed rail, and I'll be using this right angle 10 gauge steel for that. And then make a stretcher that will go from one bed rail to the next, and I'll be using the pipe for that. So I first cut it all to size, and then whenever I started welding up the brackets, I would first tack my piece into place so that it would just hold it there. And then I would come back and put on a weld on each side. After getting all 4 brackets that will hang off the bed rails made, I repeated the process and attached the actual stretcher portion, first by tacking it in place and then coming back and welding it. And yes, I was definitely practicing my hood flip the entire time. After attaching one of the brackets, I would turn it upside down and set it on the floor so that I can make sure the second bracket was being attached properly. I would tack it on while it was on the ground and then move it up to my work surface and finish welding it. And then it was time for a test fit. Now these brackets will allow me to haul quite a few sheets without it rising above the level of the truck. I decided to give it all a coat of paint just to keep things looking nice. And then to protect the paint on my truck bed, I grabbed a mouse pad and cut it up into strips, and then used some Gorilla Glue to attach it to the underside of the metal. Now this next part probably isn't necessary, but just as a added level of stability, I drilled a hole through the top and then also through the side. Then I grabbed some paracord and attached it to a bolt. And this bolt is just going to act as a quick release pin, to where I can just drop it in the hole and it'll keep the rail in place. Okay, and that's the completion of my very first welding project. To protect the veneer, I added 2 coils of paracord to each rail, and this allows the plywood to slide in and out very easily. Now I still have plenty of room on either side to haul 2x4s or other material, or of course all the room underneath, again, to haul material or ladders, tool bags, whatever. Now I fully plan on keeping these attached to my truck until I haul something that they get in the way of. But to remove them, I would simply lift up the bolt and then set the rail aside. And then to reattach them, I just put the bolt right back into its place. So that's it for this project. I'm definitely going to get tons of use out of this, and I hope that somebody out there is able to as well. A big thank you to Lincoln for supporting my channel. Of course, if you have any questions on any of the welding gear that I've been using, I have left you links in the description below. Also, besides that, I hope that you got a kick out of watching me weld for the first time. It's really cool being able to document these things and also share these things with you guys. So that's it for this one, for real this time. I will see you very soon.